Hello and welcome to Jill Cameron Creations. Today we are doing something way different. We're doing a song inspired card and I'm using a little bit of everything. So one of my favorite artists here recently has become Machine Gun Kelly. He did these amazing recording sessions that brought my attention to him since the lockdown and the quarantines happened. And it has been amazing to see how much music the man can produce at his home just out of sheer boredom. That has been fantastic. But he and Travis Barker of Blink-182 actually produced and wrote this song together, and it's called Bloody Valentine, and he released the video on YouTube and stuff, and Megan Fox is in the video. It's been a big, huge hit, and I fell in love with the song. It's very 2000, very 90s pop punk, and I'm a huge punk fan, a huge metal fan, I'm a huge music fan, period. I love all kinds of music, but generally when I'm sitting down listening to music, that's where it goes. So that's a little bit of the background of why I came up with this song, came up with this card. Music inspires me every day, and I think that we should definitely create cards and create anything. If you know you're that creative type, you're going to create stuff that is definitely that inspires you. You're going to listen to the music, you're going to watch the TV show, you're going to watch a movie, you're going to read that book. I've done plenty of Harry Potter inspired cards and things. I have a lot of Harry Potter stamps actually, and Harry Potter theme stamps and digital stamps. We pick up that inspiration from the world around us. Well, this is one of the things that's in the world around us. So one of the lines in the song has to do with you touched me, your handprint was in like wet cement, and you touched me and it's permanent, kind of thing. It's like one of those kind of lines, and I thought that this would be a fantastic addition to the song. So I did Hickory Smoke, and the artwork and things for the song are very rough, but it's that ultra pink is one of the colors in the video and in all of the marketing material for the videos. So I decided that I would go with the ultra pink, and I would make this a Valentine card. I don't know what else you could make it because the song's called Bloody Valentine. So I literally went with the rough edit of it, and I decided that I would crumple the paper up and bend it and tear it, and then add extra dark ink in places so that it would be it would stand out more in the creases. So here's one thing about this. Before I started actually handling the paper, I set the paper aside because I used white pigment ink and I used Distress Oxide ink on the background of this paper. So I needed to set that aside to dry, and I also heat set it before I started handling it so that I wouldn't have smears all over the place. And I literally just went to town crumpling that paper up and then added the extra ink in there. Now this is a slimline card, so it is 9 by 4 1/4, and I am adding liquid glue to the back of this and all over it. I'm putting a lot more liquid glue on the back of this than I normally would because it's all crinkled up. And I'm gonna just put this on the front of my card and go to work, go finish the rest of it here. So I have a couple things that I made myself before. Most of this card are things that I made myself. The slim frame over here, the slimline skinny frame, I die cut that using my silhouette, and the word bloody and the word baby, which are two things that you should never have in the same sentence. But once you see the card completed and you read everything on it, you actually really notice what it says. And the entire front of the card, it's "Be my bloody Valentine, be mine baby," which is a line from the song. So it is a very, very inspired card from the song. I die cut some light pink hearts, and it's from a die set from My Favorite Things. And then I am using, this is a retired stamp set, but this was the label stamp set that My Favorite Things had that was for Valentine's Day. And I am going to stamp this in black ink. And I'm using scrapbook.com's black dye ink. The ink pad is really, really juicy, and it is a super, 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 super dark black. And I wanted it to be really, really, really dark. So I got that ink pad out, and now I am going to go ahead and I've got to stamp B twice, and I'm going to go ahead and do that with my just move the stamp and stamp that on there. Then I have to actually, why does mine look backwards? That's interesting. It looks backwards on the video. Very interesting. Oh, I stamped it upside down. That's why. Dirt. Okay, so I had a dirt moment there. It's okay. Alright, so instead of using my Tim Holtz paper trimmer, I pulled out my old Fiskars because I actually can straighten the paper to the image a lot better with this paper trimmer than I can with my Tim Holtz one. It's just because I know exactly where this one cuts. I know exactly where that line is going to be, and I can straighten the bottom edge of that stamped image up against that rail right there. And I didn't want it to be perfect, but I didn't want it to be like way off, and I knew that if I did it on the other one, it would be way off. So the right tool for the job. You know, I talk about that a lot. The right tool for the job. Okay. So while I'm finishing this up, let's talk about what's over on my blog real quick. So I have the package for the slimline, like rounded corner frames and the panels and a cover plate, and it's a couple things in that slimline package over there for slimline cards. That's a digital download for your digital die cutting machine. And so I have that over there, and I'll link that over on my blog. It's not going to be in the YouTube post, so you'll need to actually go over to the blog to get that. And then I also have information about my card classes that will be linked in the description below. The products I'm using in the video, of course, will be linked below, the ones that are still available. This was just a really fun card for me to do. I had it in my head, and I was like, oh, I wonder if I can do this. So I didn't really care about whether or not the products were still available, because you can use just anything that you have at home when you're making up a card, you know, like this, that's inspired you somehow. Just use what you got. Take a look at all of your supplies and your materials and just start pulling stuff out. And if you don't have it, you have a digital die cutting machine at home, use that. If you have alphabet dies, you can use those instead. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. You could handwrite it yourself and cut it out. I have terrible handwriting, so that was not an option. So anyway, those are a lot of different things that you can do here, and I'm just adding some stitching to these hearts that I'm going to put on the front of this card. I only actually used 2 of these hearts, and I did not bore you to death with the rest of that stitching there. So I also have some smaller hearts. I am going to put ink around the edges of those in black and dark pink, and put those on the cards. And I'll rumple up the hearts too. It's absolutely fantastic. I love this. I love how this card turned out. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing, and I am so pleased with how it turned out. Now tomorrow I'm going to be doing one that's Home Sweet Home by Motley Crue, because I'm a little bit of a Crue head, and so I'm going to be doing another card after that that's music inspired, and then we'll see from there. I might do another one later on. I was talking in the video yesterday, I mentioned John Mayer's Gravity, and I might do that because there's a line in that song that really inspires me, and I would love to know what songs inspire you and what you listen to that is inspirational to you, whether it's in the craft room or just in life. So leave me a comment below and tell me what inspires you. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish up this card here, and I am using the little ink dauber little finger holders here to add some ink around the edges of my hearts, and then I am going to add black around the edge of this heart. So I am also going to be sharing a picture over on Instagram. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, you'll want to, because I have a great big huge surprise over on Instagram for everybody that I am going to be thrilled about. Yay. I'm so excited about this. Okay. So I'll have that over there today as well. And today is June the 7th. So if you're watching this way after the fact, you can scroll back through my Instagram and see what happened on June the 7th for the big surprise over there. If you've ever wondered how to like rumple up paper and make it look a little bit more weathered and that kind of thing, literally just ball it up. That's all you have to do. Ball it up. I balled these up a little bit. I folded them a little bit. Did a little bit of everything. If I could change one thing on this card, it would be that white isn't so white. But I kind of did fix that a little bit because I do splatters. And I pull out my box and I do some splatters. And I did not like that this was black and white on black and white, so I fixed that. And it's so much ink on there that it actually smeared a little bit. I didn't let it dry. I could tell when I picked it up that it was still a little wet. So be careful if you do a really heavy, thick black ink or anything like that, that you make sure that it's dry. For this, it worked really, really well because it gave it a little bit more of that dingy kind of look that I was going for. I did not, like I said, I did not want these to be straight. I didn't want them to be even. I didn't want them to be perfect in any way. So that's why I have this, like, kind of, everything's kind of cockeyed. Nothing's really cut straight except for the black frame around it. And I absolutely I am in love with this card. I'm putting glue on the backs of these in the places that it's going to touch the paper, and I'm not flattening them back out. I'm actually utilizing, I literally picked it up and where the bumps were down on the back of that heart so that it stays bunched up and it doesn't fall back down. I didn't want it to be flat again. The last thing I did for this card, I was sitting here and I was going, this really needs something else. It really does need something else. I don't know what to do though. And I walked away from it for a few minutes, and then I came back to my desk, and it was after I had done all those splatters and everything on it. And I love the splatter effect because it gives it that little bit of shine. I'm doing perfect pearls on here, and then I do black acrylic paint. And to use black acrylic paint to do splatters, all you have to do is put a little drop of black acrylic paint on your block and add a little bit of water to it and stir it up, and it will be thin enough that you can do splatters, but thick enough where it's not going to be transparent. So that's how you want it to be still opaque, but you want it to be thin enough where it will fall off of your brush in this manner. So this is literally, I put it in a box and set it on my desk, and there it is. I found some bright pink fuchsia, I think it's called raspberry tart, Stickles that I had. And I was like, oh my goodness, that will be perfect. Oh, I jumped up and down. I literally clapped my hands together and looked like an otter in the water, jumping up and down, happy as a lark that I found these. So that's what I ended up finishing this card with. Don't forget to head over to the blog so you can get your slimline bundle over there. And if you have any questions, comments, or anything, let me know. And I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow for the Molly Crew card. Woohoo!